Tim Harrold,
Yes.
live in Grays.
Mhm.
Your studio's here in the High House in Purfleet, your artist studio. When did you first become interested in art? Or in fact, when did you first start creating art?
Always have. As far back as I can remember, I've always been drawing or making stuff up or whatever. Why I actually do what I do is a little bit more of a difficult question. You know, why do
From
I?
a very young age.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm,
Um,
very young.
yeah. And was it what were you? Was it drawings or?
Well, but yeah, I think I just started drawing and things like that. But I think also a lot of what I do now, when I think back, I think of all the playing with toys and cars and things, and I used to play with my sister's doll's house more than she did. Yeah, because I just loved the whole thing of the rooms and the little people and models and stuff like that.
So how many days a week are you up here?
I'm not here as often as I'd like to be, but I try and get up here for one full day a week, possibly two. I'd like to spend a lot more, but I have other things going on.
And to the uninitiated, why do you need a studio?
Well, I've got the studio because it came up when this place was first built in 2013. This was the last studio available, and the cheapest. And as you may see out the window, I have a splendid view of the Purfleet bypass, whereas nearly everyone else has a splendid view of the QE2 bridge. So that's why I got this room. And the great thing is I can keep all my clobber up here rather than at home.
Excuse me. What inspires you?
What inspires me? Well, another aspect to my life is my faith, my Christian faith. I'm a speaker in churches and so on and so forth. So I'm quite motivated by all of that as an inspiration. In terms of the actual stuff that I use, I'm really into themes of space, and I like little objects, I like little people, and I like little bits of words, phrases of words, and so a lot of my art has words in it, not all of it, but a lot of it does.
Just you mentioned your faith,
Yeah.
and this may seem like an odd comment, but all the people I've ever met in the Grays area and in the Thurrock area, whether it's yourself or Reverend Darren or Father Brian, Colin, Colin who's now moved on to another parish, not to another plane. You're all very warm and engaging people.
Yeah.
Do you take that as a compliment?
As a compliment?
Yeah.
Well, if you think I'm warm and engaging, great. Hope I am. I don't know, some people look at my art and they think, what on earth's that all about? But then Jesus told parables and people went, well, what's that all about then? And that's why he told them, to get people to ask the next question. If people don't ask the next question, fine, they can move on to whatever. And that's how I kind of, not flippantly, I hope, but I call my work visual parables. So it's not always clear what they actually are about necessarily.
But are you an artist or a Christian artist?
That's a good one. I think I'm a Christian who does art, and I'm an artist who follows Jesus.
And how did Transformation Thurrock come about?
That's a long story. That came about because about 12 years ago I was working for a local church, and we were involved in an awful lot of stuff, as churches are, and I was involved in a particular mission project called Bar and Bus. You may have heard of that, which is no longer, but it was then, and a few other bits and bobs, and when I finished working for that church, I started up Transformation Thurrock as a means to pull together all these different disparate bits under one umbrella, and also as a means for providing something that was non-denominational for all the denominations, so all the different churches could access the stuff, and we could work across the broad church rather than be one particular part of it. And so, you know, I would organise the weekly gatherings of leaders to get together and pray and stuff, and which still continues, although I'm not actually involved in it anymore, but still continues.
When you walk into Grays,
Yeah.
do you have to pray for Grays? How do you feel Grays?
Do I have to pray?
No, you don't have to pray for Grays, but how do you feel Grays as a town is getting on here in 2018?
Well, Grays is Grays is full of hopeful stuff. Grays is also not very believing in itself. It's one of those kinds of places, and I think possibly for the whole of Thurrock as well. I call it the Gideon complex.
Oh, explain that.
Yes, well, you see, you all know the story. You all know the story of Gideon, don't you, children? The guy who had his torch and a lamp and everything under a bucket, and then they got them all out, and the enemy was routed. The thing is that at the start of that story, he was hiding from the baddies, and God called him out of the hiding place, and he was really scared about it. He was very unconvinced that he would be the man to be able to do all the mighty warrior stuff, and Thurrock. So he had a bit of a downer on himself, and a positive aspect of the whole Christian faith is for actually we're all made by God, and we all have a value that's intrinsic, and he wants to bring that out of us. So actually, everybody who lives in Grays is of intrinsic worth beyond our reckoning, as it were.
I'll remember to tell the people of Grays that as I
Yeah.
walk along. But you think people need to maybe just believe in themselves a bit more?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we all have our problems, don't we? But
Is there enough going on in these series of films? We're hoping to get to about 80 to 100 people. But people are doing stuff, aren't they? You know?
Yeah.
Is there enough going on? Enough for people to do?
I think sometimes you have to make it happen yourself. Having been part of the Thurrock Art Trail, for instance, having tried to run it myself, the difficulty for the whole borough is that it's 15 villages and towns. And to get something going across all of those is incredibly difficult. But to get something going on very locally in just one part is a lot easier. And maybe that's the way forward. It sounds a bit like you're being parochial, but if it's the means to the ends, then perhaps things can happen in one place that can be replicated elsewhere.
Do you think Thurrock needs to stop trying to be 20 places and celebrate each of those 20 places, including Grays?
Maybe. I mean, Thurrock is a man-made thing, isn't it? You know, even going back in history, there's a line down the middle, which strangely enough is Bradley Avenue, where to one side it used to be the 100 of Chafford, and the other side it was the 100 of Barnstable. So it's a very nebulous place in that sense. It's only been in existence since the 30s, hasn't it, or something? So.
And as a borough council, 20 years ago, 1998.
Yeah.
So, and back to your art. When's the last time you exhibited?
I showed some stuff. When did I show stuff? I had a proper exhibition of my own last year up in Sheffield. I showed some stuff at the Thurrock Art Trail over in Horndon back in June. So that was the most recent. At the moment I'm deliberating about being part of something up in London that I've been invited to be part of, but I don't know at the moment. I'm kind of in a bit of a quiet period, although I've made a lot of stuff recently. I tried to put some stuff in the Royal Academy Summer Show, but I was rejected. I tried to put something in another thing and I was rejected. But
you're not going to give up?
No. Well, I can't. It's like, it's who I am.